This video is for the MYOB Diagnostic Test, just running through the solution so that if you had some issues with it you can see where you made your mistakes and hopefully you don't do so in the future. Quick overview of the scenario. We've got a company, Andrew Duncan Tutoring. It's been trading for a while and wants to switch to MYOB as of this certain date, 1st of July 2009. Business has the current account balances. We've got some detail about the assets, liabilities and owner's equity at that point in time. And our task is to set up MYOB for Andrew Duncan using these accounts and include an income account for tutoring revenue and an expense account for advertising. Presumably we'll need to use those in the future, and also ensure that you enter the correct opening balances for customers and suppliers, okay, especially for these accounts receivables and this account payable. And then after that we're going to have a few transactions happening once we're set up on MYOB. We'll open MYOB, create a new company file, because Andrew Duncan Tutoring doesn't have that file at the moment, and type in the company name, all of the other details. If you're required to enter them in, you'll be provided them in the exam. I just didn't want everyone to spend heaps of time on this page. Here's the interesting page. The current financial year, if I'm starting to use MYOB as of 1 July 2009, my current financial year will be 2010, because that's in 30th June 2009, is 30th June 2010 is when that financial year will end. Okay, we'll end in the month of June. I'm converting to MYOB in July, and there's 12 months in the year. It's crucial that you get this page correct. If you make any errors, you cannot change them. You can Google search all you want, you just cannot change it. Since it's so important, you need to confirm it, so just double check. Financial year from July 1, 2009 to 30 June 2010 sounds good. And I'm converting as of 1 July 2009. Sounds good. Be really careful in these stages. In terms of building the account list, we'll use one provided by the software, try and get something that's pretty similar. This guy is doing tutoring, so we'll call that some sort of service. Look through this list. I don't think tutoring's here at all. Educational institution, I could be that. I don't see tutoring, so I'm basically a consulting firm. I'm going out just doing things for the hourly rate. So I use that, and here's my accounts list. I'm not too concerned if you choose the wrong type of business, because you'll be able to modify your accounts in the future. This is also important so that you remember where you saved your file. I'm going to change this so that I can find it later. I've got a folder for my old files and I'll put it in there. Add changes to that account. Do I want to use Setup Assistant or the Command Center? I'll use the Setup Assistant. Yeah, okay, I don't really need that. Alright, first step is to set up my accounts. So I'll go into my account list. I need to make this account list have the accounts that are listed in my question. So I'll have a little scan here. Motor vehicle, I've got motor vehicles here. Motor vehicle at cost, vehicle accumulated depreciation. So I don't need anything else there. A check account, yep, I've got a check account. Accounts receivable, I've got trade debtors. Just for consistency, I'm going to rename this to accounts receivable. Probably did that too fast. If I want to rename something, I go to the arrow to the left of it, I can click it and then just rename accordingly. Make sure your spelling's correct. Remember, Andrew Duncan wants to use this MYOB account for the next 20 years. He doesn't want to see your spelling mistakes every day he turns on his computer. Done motor vehicle, done check account, done accounts receivable, loan to parents. Let's look at some liabilities. Is there anything like a loan here? All those bank loans, other long-term liabilities. I could create another account. In fact, I'll do that. I'll create an account for the loan to my parents, just so we can see how to create the new accounts. So I'll click on new. What sort of account is it? Well, it's not an asset at all. It's a long-term liability. Give it a number. I'll put it in between these two, so I'll call it 2200. I'm trying to get to the account name. Seen a lot of you guys doing this. If you want to add the name, you press the tab key. It's the one next to the Q on the keyboard, and it'll open up all these extra games for you to play, such as entering in the name. I'll call this Loan to the Duncan. You obviously might have called it something different, that's fine. Don't need to change any details here. No, tax code MT, all good. What else? Accounts payable. I'll find my trade creditors and I'll rename this to accounts payable. And I need to also make sure that my tax code, because I'm buying things from Officeworks, I'm registered for GST. I need to make sure it's got GST clicked here as well as the tax code, just so that everything lines up. Better double check my accounts receivable. Should have GST in here as well. Okay, you probably should do that when you rename the accounts. Remember, accounts receivable and accounts payable both need the GST tax code. What are the other accounts? Need tutoring revenue. So I can scroll all the way down, or I can use these labels at the top. Revenue is sort of income, consulting fees. That's just because I set it up as a consultant. So I'll just rename these consultant fees to tutoring revenue. Make sure this has GST attached as well. And I need an expense account for advertising. Across to expense. There's advertising, all good. Just need to make sure that it has GST as the tax code also. Done. So my accounts are set up. I'm ready to start entering in my opening balances.